So we're going to have a lot of fun on this panel. We're talking about clothing, which is something everyone is wearing here today. I'm very glad to see that. Not very long ago, if you were starting a new fashion brand, success for you would probably mean going to someone like Nordstrom or Macy's and selling your product wholesale to them. That was a top-down approach that kept those retailers in power. But crowdfunding is really helping to flip that model on its head and empowering new companies, boutique labels, to really deliver exactly what their customers want, specifically to them. So with more on that, please welcome my amazing panelists. We have Aman Advani, co-founder of Ministry of Supply, a fashion wear company which integrates movement and temperature into its styles, was founded by former MIT students using some of the same temperature regulating materials as NASA astronauts. He's in Boston, so he needs that. We're also joined by Taylor J., who's the founder of Taylor J Collection, which designs clothing to empower women to move through each day with ease and confidence. And then we also have Beau Wangtrakuldee. Did I say that right? Yes, perfect. Founder and CEO of AmorSui, which designs protective professional clothing for women in STEM. So I just want to talk to each of you guys quickly about how your businesses came to be through the help of crowdfunding. So just quickly take us through how you used crowdfunding to launch and grow your businesses, because each of these businesses is at a very different life stage. Start with you.
Yeah, so we started the company 2011. We kind of got together. We were on MIT's campus, and we were kind of a bunch of students who had no business being in fashion. We didn't really know what we were doing, and so we were kind of like, what do we, how do we start this? We would kind of put up tables in places and try to sell these handmade prototypes that we'd hacked. And you guys will enjoy hearing Taylor's answer because she comes from a little bit more of the industry, so she'll have a good take on this. But for us, we had no idea what we were doing, and so crowdfunding seemed like an obvious choice for us at the time. So 2012, we launched on Kickstarter, and it was still kind of in the, I wouldn't say earlier days of Kickstarter, it was a mature platform at the time, but this idea of crowdfunding was still like people asking, do I own the company now, or what's going on after this? But for us, it was honestly more validating the entire premise of the brand. People want the general premise being we take all the technology that's baked into your athletic clothing and bring it to your kind of least favorite dress clothing. And we just didn't know if anyone else cared. We were building this stuff for ourselves at the time. We were kind of hacking clothing together. And so for us, crowdfunding was just this instrumental, massive piece of launching the business where we got to see, do people actually care the same way we do?
Yeah, that's interesting. It was sort of a test case to see that this is a business that needs to exist.
Yeah, yeah.
What about you, Taylor?
Well, for me, I have a background in retail. I owned a clothing boutique for almost a decade. So I'm very familiar with women and their bodies. And so because of my own personal journey through my own body, I was like, I need to make something that will work for women throughout every single journey of their life. And so after, being in retail, buying and selling, that becoming kind of old and not so, didn't stand out, we created Taylor J Collection. And so we didn't have any funding. We just, had clientele from the boutique. So we were basically really able to prove that our merchandise worked because they were asking for Taylor J. They were coming back. They owned 2 or 3 pieces. And so it wasn't until this year when I found out about I Fund Women that I was like, okay, it's time for funding. We need to expand. We need to be able to offer more runs of sizes, more color options. Yeah. And so why not go to the people that we've already built our brand on, which are the women, the customers. And so it was really, it was amazing because the women were like, okay, we already love your brand, we see it, and we want to see you grow, and we want to be a part of it. So crowdsourcing was like an amazing platform. Our community has grown. Like within just 30 days, we've increased on social media, like 3,000 new followers and just supporters, so it's been amazing.
You're tapping a community that already existed and then building it.
We've actually, we have an already existing community, but we've actually grown. Like a lot of the supporters, we don't even know who they are.
Wow.
Yeah, they're from all over the place, and they're just so happy that we are an inclusive brand that promotes clothing for all women in different sizes, and we want to be able to offer all sizing for all women. And so they were just so all about that, like just clothing that empowers women, and that's just what it brings out in each woman that wears it. And so I think that it was just a great way to start, and we're just going to keep going.
That's awesome. Beau, you're at the really very initial launch piece of your business. Can you take us through why you chose crowdfunding to launch your company?
Yeah, sure. So I started AmorSui this year, and I'm a PhD chemist. Basically, what inspired me to start this company is because I got a chemical spill on myself, working at the bench, and I was wearing a lab coat, and I was properly dressed, and the chemical burned me through the lab coat and also the clothing. So, I go out and to test the market, I interview, all my friends, 100 of them, and then they said, yes, we want this to happen. So what's next is like, how could I produce? I have, prototype made based on interviewing other people. So I found iPhone Women, and to be honest to you, this is probably the only way I'll be able to produce the first prototype and sell it and test the market without going into debt. It's either asking my dad for 20 grand or, going to the bank and, get a loan. So throughout this journey, I crowdfunding campaign in August, and I have been able to not only test the feedback of the first few people, 100 of them that I interview, raise capital to do my first production, but also really learn how to market my product to people out there. And I'm really surprised. My pants I sold was like a scientist, a female scientist from New Zealand. And then I got $5,000 backer from a women scientist in Kalamazoo, who both of them, which I don't know. So they come from different places, but it's really validated that there's a need for it. And then the mission of my brand, which is to protect and empower women scientists, resonate with many people.
Yeah, I think all of you guys have mission statements in your brands that really resonate with your customers. And I want to circle back to you, Aman, because you talked about how you used crowdfunding to sort of proof test your business, but you've gone back to crowdfunding. You're using it for a second time.
Yeah.
How is it different? Why did you go back?
So we launched a campaign earlier this year for a heated jacket.
Yes.
So our initial, we'll care a little bit more in a month or so. But our initial kind of premise of the entire business was this idea of just kind of, can we reinvent this new category of clothing? We called it Performance Professional. And it had no wires, no batteries, no power. It was kind of our take on wearable technology and using technology to enhance what you're wearing every day. And so when we kind of dreamed up this idea for a heated jacket, it was this, we love Nest thermostats. And we said, well, but it's kind of a one-size-fits-all if anyone has a Nest in their office. Can we actually create a Nest thermostat that would be appropriate for you and only you? So could we create this kind of smart learning device, but on your jacket? And so when we launched the product, we thought this is just a totally different ballgame for us, right? There's full-on wearable tech, right? It's got a microcomputer in the lapel of the jacket. It's got a power button on the jacket. And so for us, we were kind of, we were nervous entering this for the second phase of the company and saying, okay, the core of the business is doing well and we're enjoying it. Now we want to layer on kind of an entirely new premise to the business of kind of traditional wearable tech our way. And so we came back, this time less to validate the entire company concept, and this time for a second reason, which we found helpful, to validate and improve the quality of the product itself. So get all that feedback from the Kickstarter community to really help us develop the concept into something that was a good idea into great execution.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Because I think execution is so important when you're building a new brand, right? Like that's how you create trust between you and your buyer.
Yeah. Taylor and I were talking beforehand too about this idea of the customer that you start to build for and how crowdfunding can kind of change who that is. So we thought, at the time we started the company, we were in our early 20s, mid-20s, and we thought our customer was ourselves. So we were building for a mid-20, something-year-old, and we both kind of were sharing this idea behind stage that our average customer age is actually kind of 30s, 40s, 50s. It wasn't us. But the crowdfunding can really tell you that pretty quickly.
Yeah, definitely. And it's great because you get to learn a lot about your brand and how you can even expand from that. For myself, I thought my clientele was like in their mid-40s to 55s. And it is, of course, but also my daughter, who's actually my partner too, she's 24. And she has opened up a whole new style for Taylor J. Like so many younger women are wearing it and they're embracing it and learning to embrace comfort and quality and responsible buying at a young age. So that's been great too,
Yeah, it seems like crowdfunding is an interesting way to sort of teach your customer more about your brand and your mission and how things work, why they cost what they cost, or why it takes so long for something to go from idea to product, which I think is really interesting. And Taylor, in talking to you about your community and the community you've grown through crowdfunding, I'm curious about this idea of loyalty. I think when I covered retail, I heard from all these traditional retailers that loyalty is gone. You know, people only care about value. They want what they want when they want it, and they don't care who sells it to them. It doesn't seem like that's been true for any of you guys, but for you in particular, it seems like you have a really loyal community.
Yes, I do have a loyal community, but also right now, what's really popular, people like to relate to the brand, the person behind the brand. So I think the more that you're able to showcase who you are and what you actually give to the brand and put into the brand, that's where you really create more of a loyal fan community base, because they're like, okay, I really like this person and I want to be a part of what they're doing and I want to support that. And they just become loyal, you know, in that sense, because they like you a lot and they want to support everything you do. And so it's like being able to show the brand and it speak for itself is which is what I did at first before I really put myself out more. I was really like, I'm behind the scene. Let the product prove itself first. And that way I know that's what you like. But then the crowdfunding, you have to put yourself out there. They need to know you, and you're promoting yourself, and you're showing everything that goes into the, you know, making of your product and your company. And then they're like, okay, this is a win-win situation. I love the product, and I love the person that created it, and we're going to stick with them, and we're going to help promote this product. Like, we had so many people sharing our campaign, like, from everywhere. Wow. Like, just everyone was reposting and re-Instagramming, and they still are messaging us, and your mission, your story, you know, was so, I was a teen mom, and so a lot of women were like, wow, you know, you're so empowering to so many of us, and we want to support you, and we want to see your brand grow. And so I think that having a platform that was available and is still there for people to see and kind of just, you know, see the journey, then they want to be loyal. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm thinking about that with you, Beau, and launching your business, and you're really letting customers into your journey of developing this product, and it's a usable product. And you mentioned to me that you're getting real feedback that's changing, you know, some of your marketing decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm wearing my dress today. It's the Marie Curie dress. And usually when you go in the lab, you have to be, you know, completely cover arms and then legs. So this dress is designed for women scientists to wear it with, you know, tights. And then also there's another, you know, long sleeve that go over this to mix and match in my, you know, in all my brand. And, you know, without me showing people how to styling it, they were giving a feedback, oh, well, you can't be exposed on the legs, you can't have arms exposed. And that really changed my marketing plan to really show them how to style it, how to wear it. And, you know, after that, you know, the feedback was more positive, and then, you know, it was better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious about how feedback from customers has resonated with you, and you're developing a new product.
Yeah, I mean, we've changed. I mean, I think in both crowdfunding campaigns, we've changed so much, and I think it's somewhat the norm now that what you see on the kind of video that's saying, hey, we've got it all figured out, we know what we're doing here, versus what we actually deliver ends up being enhanced so greatly by the fact that there's just hundreds and hundreds of comments coming through, questions coming through during the campaign and after the campaign that can help to craft it. I think it's interesting that both of you chose the same platform because you could speak so directly to your customer that would give you that really relevant feedback. So you're not having to sift it all.
I think for me it's perfect because, you know, I was targeting women as scientists, so, you know, I want to leverage that network, and it was kind of it's the best fit for me.
Keeping the girl gang, you know.
Right, yeah. But you know that the feedback coming to you is relevant, right? Which is, I think, so special, and everyone got to meet. I found women earlier, I guess this morning, right? But I think it's so special that you're sure that all of the feedback you get is relevant and impactful, which is, I think, such a massive shift in crowdfunding in the last.
I do have a question for you, since you've crowdfunded twice. So on your second round, do you have the same community that you had from the first one, or is it new people, or are they still with you, or how did that work?
Yeah, it's such a good question. We were actually talking about this a few months ago when we launched the campaign. Like, what is our expectation the first? We had about 3,000 backers the first time. How many of them would actually come back the second time? And it's probably every other week that we hear from someone that says, like, oh, I've been part of the founding journey of the entire company. I funded your first Kickstarter. And we kind of sigh a little bit because that first product in 2012 was, in hindsight, not great. And so we're kind of like, okay, we should create a little swap program to let them have the better stuff now. But I think it's just this community feeling that I think you kind of cited a second ago that says, hey, they're not here for a great product. They're here to support, you know, all of us, right? And their personality behind the brand and the mission behind the brand that says, hey, even if I got a shirt that I only wore a couple of times, in this case, hopefully a jacket that kind of changed my winter, it doesn't matter the extremes. I'm coming back because I want to support you and your mission and your kind of values that you promote.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about the traditional retailers who I covered, if they could have gotten feedback from their customers early on before they'd committed to hundreds of thousands of SKUs of something that might flop, I mean, I try to think about how that would change the stores that you walk into, the websites you go on, and it really seems like you guys are helping to shape the future of how we shop for things. But, you know, I do think that there's this conception, a misconception even, that crowdfunding is an easy way to start a business. You know, like, oh, I'll just put my thing on Kickstarter and people will give me money. And I don't think that that's true.
No, it's not at all.
No. Right?
Yeah. And it's a scary thing, too, because everyone doesn't understand what crowdfunding is. Sometimes people think, oh, well, they're asking me for money. They're really broke, or like, what's going on? Like, you know, you get, you know, it's two different ways for people to view what you're doing, you know, and how you're looking for funding. But, you know, overall, like, it's a long journey. Like, you have to work at it really hard. Like, you get really, really shameless.
Yeah.
Which is what my coach told me. Like, you just don't be afraid to ask for money. So now I'm like, I don't even know you, but hey, here's my link. You can give me whatever amount, but hey, here it is. You know, but I think it's a great platform. And like you said, when you're trying to get into department stores, you can easily flop. I mean, a department store can easily put you out of business, right? You know, so it's like, it looks good and your growth can be quick, but it can also end really fast too. So.
When both of their campaigns are live right now, so if you
yes, they are.
If you care
I'm still
to,
in the middle of it.
you should go on and back it right now. But it was funny because I was asking Taylor. She flew in from Oakland 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And I said, "Are you going to get to like, stick around and hang out in New York and kind of enjoy the city a little bit?" And she gave me this kind of like, "Are you kidding? I'm in campaign mode right now."
Yeah, like
which I think is just a perfect way to say, like, you know, there's nothing organic about it, right? It's all what you put in is what you get out of it. And I think there's this, you're totally right, misconception that you could just fly to New York and hang out for the week and hope that people show up, which is not the case at all.
No, and this is great for even our, you know, since our campaigns are live, for our supporters, because they're like, okay, this is awesome. They love to see that we're, you know, we're really working our brands, and they're not just giving us their money for us to just have fun. Like, you know, we work at this. Like, this is not an easy task, and you know, you always need funding. I mean, I've had my brand for over 3 years, and this is the first time I've ever went out for funding. Ever. Wow. We just were able to stay in business from a loyal clientele. And so this is a big deal for me, even learning, like, you know what, your brand can really do a lot with funding, and people want to invest in it. And, you know, so, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So for a new brand like me, I think, you know, there's 3 important things you have to do to be successful in crowdfunding. You have to hone on, you know, your mission and statement of your message really clearly, which is difficult sometimes when you catch a Y net. And then I think Karen mentioned earlier in her session that, you know, each one of the people you reach out to need to be touched 5 to 7 times to even remember you as a brand. And then 10 times to buy or back your campaign. So that means a lot of times to send out the same messages in a different way. And that was really difficult, you know, from a marketing standpoint. And the third thing would be just hustle. You go again, 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 again. And one way or another, they either give because they really, you know, really believe in your brand, or, you know, they can't wait anymore and they want to support it. So, you know, for me, those was the key, and it was really difficult as, you know, a new brand.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on you because I emailed our mayor, Libby Schaaf, like
I did too.
3 times. Did you? And then I ran into her at an event, and I was like, "Hey, Libby, what's going on? You know, you haven't done it yet." And she's like, "Oh, Taylor J, you know, we love you, we support you." And then I emailed her one more time after that, like, "Hey." And then she was like, she emailed me like the next day and was like, "Taylor, I just funded you, and we support you." She's like, "I love how persistent you were. Don't ever change." And I'm like, "Okay."
I swear, I still have 30 lists of people who I have done favor for the past year. And I go and I text them and I check them off. You done? Not again. Hi, how are you? Can I call you today?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking, if you were just trying to sell Macy's, right? You're selling one buyer. and maybe they're going on and selling their bosses,
Yeah.
right? You're selling every single person who gives you a little bit of money. Like you have to sell hundreds, thousands of people.
To everyone that looks at you,
Yeah.
you're selling. Like,
Yeah.
don't even look at me.
Yeah.
Because I'm giving you my link.
By the way, I have this company. Do you see my dress?
Yeah. So what would you do differently? You guys have active campaigns, so you guys can maybe make changes right now.
Me personally, I would spend more time planning it because you can't forget anyone. Like you said, I was going through my email for like weeks, and then I was like, oh my God, that person, I forgot them, and I know that they would support it. And
they said they will, but they haven't yet.
But even not even reaching out to them, like not just letting everyone know, because sometimes you have so many things going on, and I'm an active open brand, so like we're running the business and trying to raise funds, and it was really challenging. So maybe just spending more time planning the campaign, because once you're in there, you need to have everything, together and ready. And so you don't want to miss people.
It's a lot harder to make adjustments on the fly, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So my prep time for running a crowdfunding campaign on I Fund Women is probably 3 weeks. It was really organic. I needed money, and I just tried to find different ways on how to make this happen, and that was it. So I jumped in with not a lot of preparations and doing the work along the way. I wouldn't say I would do it any other way because it helped my brand grow and pivot in ways I would never imagine. But if there was 2 months prep time, I think my message would be clearer. Things will be more efficient. The drive of the funds that come in will be much more productive.
Okay. You kept that favor list for a year. I feel like that counts as prep time.
Oh, I go back.
I want to start keeping that list now and growing it. So
you owe me.
Right, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
We got the chance to do it a second time,
Right,
so we got to kind
exactly.
of learn from things. Yeah, we got to change things the second time around, and we didn't make the favor list, although the third time we will. I think one of the things we did differently the second time around was that you get so caught up in the campaign that you forget about everything that comes after it, and that you haven't gotten there yet. But when you do, I think for us, the learning was just that these are people that took a really big bet on you with no product in hand.
Yeah.
And so keeping them just absolutely over the top, blown away, beyond satisfied, putting a small gift in their handwritten card in the note, and then most importantly, a product that way exceeds what they expected. Right. We didn't focus on as much the first time. It was just build a big campaign. And the second time around, when we did it with the jacket, it was, okay, build a big campaign, but then deliver a product that's even better than the campaign promised. And I think that's where we kind of figured out that, hey, these are people that are going to stick with you for the next decade or more, and they'll remember that they were part of the founding of your brand, and how can we make sure that we get them excited not just about the story, but also the product itself. So I think that was what we changed the second time around, was built a much better time frame, a much better infrastructure, so that we were able to deliver a product that could beat what we promised.
Yeah, and I think that's something we've touched on a lot, right? About how you're selling people on your story, on your brand, on your mission. You're not selling them necessarily on product. I mean, you have an active business, you have loyal customers, and people know Ministry of Supply, but you're not giving them a product necessarily. It's not like when you go online and you buy an outfit and you expect to get it a week later. How do you really convince people to support you when you aren't delivering a product immediately?
Well, for me, our rewards, starting from $100 and up, that you actually will be able to, you get a gift card for our collection. So you will get a product. So for us, we always wear Taylor J, and we have a lot of people that wear it and influencers that were wearing it. And so we were showing them live videos of our products, and they were seeing it. And so they were like, oh my gosh, okay, I want that. So this is a winning situation. You're supporting a platform that's designed by women, for women, and it's clothing, and we're all women.
Right.
So you're doing everything. You're like empowering women, you're supporting a brand, and you're buying, you're investing in yourself.
Yeah.
And so we made that really clear, like this is a winning situation for a woman, from one woman to another. And so just showing them how we lived in the clothing and how it made us feel in different types of people, it was easy. We had a lot of people that they were like, okay, here, I'll get, our most popular backing was like $100, the reward. And that's like a gift card for Taylor J. And so we're just keeping the clients, like they're coming back, like they're, they're getting a gift card, and they'll go online and they'll shop, and so hopefully that's going to be a great, that works out great. I think so.
Virtuous circle.
Yeah, but so that's what we did. So they saw the product, and then we partnered with influencers that have really nice followings, and that their followers they believe in what they say. And so just having them wear merchandise and photograph it and go live and talk to their people about it really made them say, okay, I can, I want to be a part of this too.
Right.
So I think that was helpful.
Yeah, for AmorSui, my company is the first company that approached professional and protective clothing for women scientists. So, by supporting my campaign, they helped me bring this to the market. And then also, get their hands on something that never existed before.
Right.
And help me grow my brand. So I think, from that part, a lot of women scientists that could relate to that, just support my campaign, not only to potentially get their hands on the product, but also to, see me keep growing this brand onto something they want to see.
That makes sense. You mentioned your third crowdfunding campaign. So are any of you guys thinking about going to more traditional funding sources when you grow even bigger? I mean, or will you do a third crowdfunding?
Yeah, I mean, we've raised a good bit of money from venture and a little bit of private equity in there, and it's kind of one of these things where it's two different hats, right? So I think you've got the value of crowdfunding, which is just so spectacular, and it's why everyone's here, because we all care about this topic of saying how do we get people in on the movement. I think the last thing Taylor said was kind of be a part of something. Right. And it's just such a different mission. I think in the early days for us, it was this idea of like, do we go with bank debt? And Beau was just saying it's bank debt, get our parents to write a check, or go crowdfunding. And I think this was just kind of, these are the three choices, and we can pick one, or and see what happens. And we've mixed all three together, and there's really no reason not to, because they each can kind of serve different ways of, whether it be kind of your cash conversion cycle, we just need money to get us to the next phase, or whether it be building a loyal following and a family, that it's not just, and I think the misconception kind of that it's just about kind of money versus saying, hey, look, there's the financial component to it too, but these pieces actually work really well together when you have a mix of traditional investment, some debt for, let's say, working capital, but also crowdfunding to help validate or iron out a concept, can live together. So I'd say without a doubt, at some point in the next, 1 to 20 years, we'll do another crowdfunding campaign. I don't know when, but we've got some things cooking that we think might be a good fit for the audience to kind of help mold.
What about you guys? Will you continue crowdfunding?
Yeah, I definitely will. Yeah. It's been a great platform. Like, just even on iPhone Women, they have coaching. Like, there was, I have a coach, and so it was just having support in that way was like really amazing, because when you're in business, and especially a business like mine, you know about selling the clothing, but just like the marketing side and like another perspective from someone else is just the support. It was really amazing, and so I would definitely do it. So yeah, I'll be right there by you. Because I want to get to 3,000 backers, like you.
What about you, Beau?
I mean, absolutely. What I learned from this is a feedback from customer. It's really important, and learn how to pivot in different marketing strategies as well. And for me, as a new brand, I leverage iFund Women as, a more well-known sources where people go and they trust the source. And they would purchase from there then, instead of going to my website and buying it directly. So from that perspective, it's been valuable for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, I want to thank you guys so much for being here, and thank you guys for listening. And please do check out all of their websites, all their campaigns, and think about supporting them.